Okay, so next up, I got Kai Kamaka against Jonathan Pearce. Kai Kamaka sits at 8-2-0. Jonathan Pearce at 9-4-0. Okay, so Kai Kamaka, I believe he's moving up in weight class. He's won 6 straight fights in a row. 2 of those were in the UFC. The rest of them were not, so just keep that in mind. Prior to that 6-fight win streak, he had a 2-fight losing streak, but those were in lower, like regional sort of fight scenes and stuff. So I don't know if you even want to consider those. And Kai's got like a good high output. He fought about 3 months ago and he's taking this fight on short notice. So to me, it seems like Kai is one of those, I guess, I don't know, promotion pleasers is what I like to call him. Somebody that you see just come in on short notice time and time again. Usually it's a newer fighter that does this often. We kind of see it with Brendan Royval. Like, he's been in there a couple times recently. And actually we've seen a lot of fighters do this recently because of the COVID situation. I think that's one of the prime reasons we're seeing Kai Kamaka come in so quick. But he is taking the fight on short notice. I think he only had like maybe a couple weeks at most to even find out about it. But in my opinion, he was probably training this whole time after his last fight. He probably expected to be put in shortly and had probably told Dana and the UFC, hey, I'm ready to go whenever. You just make the call. So that's one thing to keep in mind in this fight for sure. Now, Jonathan, on the other hand, he's the bigger fighter. He has a bit of a reach advantage. He did lose recently, and lots of people are doubting him for this loss because it was against Joe Lauzon, of all people. Who knows if Joe Lauzon was just having a good night, or maybe, Pearce was having a bad night. But he has won 4 of his last 5 fights, which which sort of shows that he does have good skill and capability. And I mean, his win on the Contender Series before his fight with Joe Lauzon, it was a pretty good finish. It was in the 3rd round, I believe. He made like a right hook, or I forget what, but I believe it was a punch, and took out Jacob Rosales. But the people he's beat have all had like pretty decent records. Like they've had a few more wins than losses, but they've also had few fights, like you're talking about people who are like 3-1, 6-1, that kind of thing. But if you go to Kamaka's record, I mean, it's just as shy. And actually, I believe that record-wise, once again, Pearce has probably fought the better fighters. But Kamaka looks better. One thing to note, that both of these guys tend to go with a lot of decisions. Whether it's a win or a lose or a loss, they tend to both go by decision. Actually, that's not true. All of Pearce's losses have happened before the fight has ended. Okay, so one of his losses was by unanimous decision. The other 2 were essentially due to like an injury and a choke. But all of his wins have gone by decision. So here, if you think that Pearce is going to win, I would bet Pearce by decision. I don't see him winning any other way. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Kai Kamaka, also lots of decision wins. And his losses, once again, he's had 1 loss by decision and then another loss by arm injury, which is funny because Pearce had a loss by arm injury. And another loss by choke, which is exactly how Pearce lost. These guys are like identical in the way that they win and lose. Okay, I'm going to go with Kai Kamaka on this, and I would call it by decision. That's the safest bet you can make. So who knows, Pearce might surprise us, but I give it to Kai for the simple fact he's been more active. He hasn't fought super recently, but he's fought recently. But in the end, I got Kai Kamaka by decision.